Okay, so we are all up in Bethany's business. And speaking about this, temporary spousal and child support, we're talking like 14,
Temporary.
15,000.
Yes, yeah. For the $15,000 is for the temporary spousal support. Sorry, no, it's for the child support, and it's also for the maintenance of the residence that he and Bryn are staying in.
I mean, so how much? Sounds like real money, to like Atlanta.
Yeah.
But in New York, what are we talking?
That's a good question. I mean, I know that in the area where they live, it's really difficult to find. New York is prohibitively expensive. I mean, people don't seem to realize that everybody I know who lives in Manhattan who has children moves out of Manhattan. Like, there's people, like, there aren't people that I know who live in Manhattan and have children because they move to New Jersey or sometimes to Brooklyn, rarely though, to Connecticut and places like just about everybody I worked with moves out of the city because it's just that expensive. And I know that in New York, it's almost impossible to find an apartment, especially in like lower Manhattan, in the area where they are, to find an apartment for under $1 million. It's hard to find a 1-bedroom. So this is a man who has a child who's going to need a 2-bedroom apartment, you know what I mean? And it's ridiculously expensive. It doesn't have to be as expensive as their places. Like, I know that the fees in a lot of these luxury apartments in New York can be insane. Like, I mean, $15,000 a month just for maintenance fees in a lot of cases. And once you add mortgages and so on, I mean, people are spending over $25,000 a month for a place they own, you know?
I'm still not understanding how it's even an argument of, shouldn't a court document or something prove whether or not both of them went in on the property?
Well, now they're going to have their day in court where they're going to be able to prove who went in. The thing about the trust is it was declared invalid because of basically the fact that the notary wasn't legit. And I'm guessing because a big deal hasn't been made about it, Bethenny's people are calling it fraud, Jason's people aren't, and it seems like the judges agree that it's not. It doesn't seem like there's anything really fraudulent about it. It seems like it's just sloppily done, like a married couple who just kind of was like, yeah, sure, like, we'll just sign this and have it notarized, like that type of thing. But they are going to go to trial, and they're going to present their evidence, and it will be decided. So Jason will, show how much money he put into the house, and Bethenny will make her argument that she paid for the house entirely, and then that's when the actual decision will be made. And it seems like that's the only thing they're fighting over. It'll be interesting to see if they're fighting over anything else. Because it seems like if he were a jerk, New York is one of those places where it's all marital property. It seems like if he were a jerk, he could come for the house in the Hamptons and the house that she even bought in Soho, and he could come for half the money they made while filming Bethany Ever After and Bethany getting married. And, it seems like
all the stuff she would come for if she was on the other side.
Exactly. I mean, the reality is the man could probably draw a graph that shows the trajectory of her success as it directly correlates to her relationship with him. I mean, if we're being totally honest, a lot of the reason people bought into the whole skinny girl thing was because of we wanted to support them, and skinny girl sales plummeted when she broke up with him. So, I mean, he could make that argument if he were a jerk, but it seems like all he wants is what he put into the house plus equity. And that's very fair because in New York, I mean, that home has appreciated from $5 million to $7 million. And, I mean, in New York, property is extremely valuable, and it's more expensive now than it's ever been. I mean, he's got to raise a kid here. He can't move someplace else because they have joint custody. So no one in their right mind wants to give away New York property. We're talking prime real estate here that they invested in. So if Jason put any money into that property, he's going to want to recoup his investment plus equity. it's only natural. And Bethenny would want the same thing if the table was returned.
I'll tell you, divorce is exhausting. After watching this, I don't know.
Moral of the story, kids, don't get married. That's the moral of the story. I'll have the slightly more romantic view, which is not too romantic, but I'll have the slightly more romantic view and say, get married, but just make sure that you understand, make sure that it's very clearly written in the prenup. And I personally believe that you shouldn't agree to waive any and all spousal support, simply because if your partner, I mean, you could be somebody who's worth $5 million and your partner could be somebody who's worth $100 million, and they can still crush you financially in court. And when it comes to court proceedings, it's about who has more money. So I just wouldn't agree to waive that.
Well, I just think be broke, marry somebody else broke, be happy.
That might be the best solution. Stay broke, be happy, because these people are rich and miserable. Next. All right, that's all the time we have. We're finally done. This is Aisha Naki with Celebrity Wasted.